Okay, so we are live. It is Monday morning. Good morning, everybody. Um, I had an amazing weekend. It was the kids' first day of summer, so a lot of excitement. And and then I took a train up to New York for the Samsung Bixby workshop, which was a lot of fun. And I have to tell you, the developer community is getting very excited about voice technologies and all the ubiquity of voice in our lives, whether it's in our homes or in our cars. And I'm thrilled that this morning our first live stream interview of the week is with Robert Bruchhardt of Mercedes-Benz. Robert, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Excellent. So I guess first off, the data is quite compelling about how people are accessing voice now, and the number of folks that cite the automobile as one of the primary places where they're using voice-enabled technologies, maybe outside of the kitchen. The monthly active users, I think, for voice technologies in cars is in excess of 70 million people in the United States. Pretty impressive numbers. But as we kind of dive into that, tell us a little bit about your role with Mercedes.
Sure. So, as I already said, my name is Robert. I'm working as a software engineer in Sunnyvale, actually, which is in the middle of Silicon Valley, for our, I would say, small research outpost for Mercedes-Benz here in Silicon Valley. And we are focusing on voice technology. In particular, we are focusing on the Hey Mercedes assistant within the car. And you might have heard of it from spots we ran during this year's Super Bowl or this year's Oscars, actually. And you can experience it yourself in the new A-Class we launched in the US market as well. And it's basically a voice assistant with our own branding. You can talk to it like you would at home with Alexa or with a Google Home, but just inside the car, you say, "Hey, Mercedes," and through that you can trigger it. And then, of course, we're focusing on use cases which are related to driving. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations on the success there. And yes, I did notice that Mercedes featured voice enablement on their advertisements in at the Super Bowl. And I think what's interesting is people are now seeing voice capabilities as really a key feature that they're looking for in products, even luxury brands and luxury products, and that it's now becoming a differentiator for folks in the market. I think that is, if there's anything that should alert, consumer brands, it's that fact.
Yes, indeed. I would totally agree. If you look at current survey data, right, you can see, and it also kind of only if you drive yourself and you think about things you want to do while you're driving, right, without getting distracted. That's one of the main things, right? Voice is so handy, right? I mean, just if you imagine, even with a touchscreen in your car, searching for an address is really painful, right? Well, if you can just use voice, even maybe together with some technology like what three words, even. It's getting so easy and so fast to navigate to a certain address, or let's say to call someone instead of scrolling through your whole address book. There's so many advantages of using voice technology here.
Well, yeah. So you also mentioned what three words. Tell us a little bit about what three words is.
Yeah, sure. So what three words is a company based in London in the UK. And they basically mapped the whole world into, I think it's 3 by 3 meter squares, so really small pieces, and they named each of these pieces with 3 words. So, for example, our office in Silicon Valley is at Stamp Dart Album. So instead of using a GPS coordinate or like the traditional street address, you can just use these 3 words. And we actually support these 3 words also in our car, but you can also find it in more and more applications. I recently saw, for example, a Lonely Planet for Mongolia where they use the 3 words. And it's sometimes more comfortable, I would say, and easier, and also more accurate than using the traditional street address.
Yeah, I watched when I heard about them. I watched the TED Talk, and it was blown away. It was just a concept that it it did seem, for one thing, I think at first it seemed overwhelming to try to do that and map the entire world, but then it's just a math problem at that point.
Right.
And so that was cool. And I think it's amazing that, that now Mercedes has incorporated that technology into their cars. And I think it's a delightful integration, I think, if, from my standpoint. It's very exciting. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to talk about at the Voice Summit. I'm going to do a quick screen share and go on to the agenda page here where you're featured. So it looks like you've got 3 things we learned building the Hey Mercedes voice assistant. Without giving away all the goods, tell us a little bit about that talk and who's going to be speaking with you there. Looks like Jürgen.
Yes, exactly. So this is Jürgen with me. This is my manager, actually. And we're working together here on the Hey Mercedes voice assistant. And what we want to talk about is basically we want to share a small piece of our experience of building an in-car voice assistant together with our partner from Nuance and SoundHound, and what actually is so special about the car. And we also want to kind of maybe show a few things which you could also think of maybe designing voice assistants outside of the car. Because I think not all of the stuff you learn while doing a good experience in an A-Class can only be applied to other cars. I think a few things might also be true for applications maybe on the go, or even your home assistant, or just your skill you want to build with Alexa. And so we just wanted to share a few pieces. Of course, we also looking forward to discuss it after or get a few questions about that. But that's what we wanted to do.
That's really cool. I think that what's interesting about that is an analogy that I think about is the smartphone. When smartphones first came out and people started building, designing and creating a UX that would work well on a phone, it actually improved their entire UX across their ecosystem. So if you've watched companies, their web presence actually has gotten much better. Or a lot of times you'll find yourself using the smartphone application well over what you would use on the web because it's just easier and more intuitive. And what you're saying is those sort of same design and UX principles may apply. If you're thinking about a use case of somebody in a car, it's actually probably going to translate to a better user experience in the home. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes, exactly. Because of course, the situation in the car is pretty special, right? You have a purpose if you're in the car. You probably want to get from A to B as quick as possible and maybe as comfortable as possible. And then you want to achieve certain goals while you're on the ride as efficient as possible, right? But
yes.
A few of these things are also true at home, right? I mean, while you're cooking, for example, you might also want to issue some voice commands in the most efficient way. So.
Right.
A few of these principles that do definitely apply for other areas as well.
That's fantastic. I love that advice. And it looks like also you're going to be on a panel. We got also on that panel, General Motors, Harman, Cloud Car, and a couple of other folks that are really well versed in automotive integrations for voice. Any thoughts on the panel?
Oh yeah, I was also part of a panel last year, and I still remember that was really good discussion. Just because, like voice technology in general, of course, is still rising, right? But especially in the car, it's a really interesting field. Just because I feel there are so many spaces and so many opportunities yet to explore. So discussing this with other people from the industry is always a pleasure.
Designing next level in-car experiences. Well, I'm going to flip back over to the homepage here and let everyone out there know that if you are at all thinking about this space and want to meet people like Robert from Mercedes-Benz or more than 300 speakers joining us from around the world. Robert, you're originally from Germany, I believe, correct?
Yes, correct.
And I think, so we've got, if you want to meet folks from around the world that are pushing the envelope on the Voice First era, Voice Summit is the place where you will meet them and you will have access to more than 250 sessions, talks, keynotes, workshops, networking events. More than 5,000 people will be joining us for 3 days, July 22nd through the 25th in Newark, New Jersey. The web address is voicesummit.ai, excuse me. And We've tickets are very affordable. I think start at just $145 US. But if you are a student or you are transitioning, need economic assistance, we also have scholarships. Encourage you to apply for one of our scholarships so you can have access to the event. We're really excited about Voice Summit. We're just a month away, and I couldn't be more thrilled with how this event has come along with speakers and leaders like Robert. Robert, thanks for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing you in just over a month in Newark, New Jersey.
Oh yeah, I'm also looking forward to that, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. Cheers.